So this is the whole thing. Now what we're trying to do is trying to, catch up and bring all these ecological ideas in with the social ideas, and then of course with the cultural, spiritual as well, so that you get a whole system. And really you are a whole person, so you should be living holistically. It is our nature to live that way. This is actually an example of how you apply the principles of permaculture to retrofitting an old house. Because the old house wasn't insulated enough. So instead of insulating it, we put greenhouses, which we call wraparound greenhouses, on the east, on the south, and over the other side on the west. So now the idea is you've got the greenhouse here, and it's facing the south, and all the angles are worked out so that it brings in the sun in the winter and it reflects the sun in the summertime. And in the wintertime, all this green here is down, all the leaves are down, so the winter sun comes onto the pond and reflects and actually heightens the amount of warmth coming in. So I've got roughly about 30% of the heat for my house from the greenhouses. Then I've got about 40% from the wooden stove, the mud stove that I showed you, and I can put in 80 centimeters pieces of wood in, 1 or 2 a day. And then of course if it really gets cold, then I use the normal heating, the natural gas. But I'm using only 30% of what I was using before. Now on top of that, I only have very little south side. So I used it a lot to pull out the south side of both sides to catch the sun. And then I have solar photovoltaics up there to keep the pumps going, the pumps of the hot water on the solar system. But then I have also used the roof of the community centre. I rent a part of the roof of the community centre to have photovoltaics on, so I pull in my electricity through the community centre to my house. And as I was telling you, I managed to be now a plus energy house on an old house which was built in 1939, and still it isn't perfectly insulated. It could be perfectly insulated better. And at the moment my roof is leaking on the west side, and I'm most likely going to have to take all the tiles off and put a new roof on it. So when I do that, I put on more insulation, because most of the heat loss goes through the roof. So I'll be able to conserve more heat in the winter then. It's not any cheaper though than building anew. It's very little cheaper than building anew. Sometimes it's more expensive because you have to undo things to get them going. And this greenhouse wasn't very cheap either, but because it was the first of its kind about 17 years ago. Nobody knew how to even calculate a greenhouse then. Part of the work that's been done on this greenhouse has gone into the computer programs that are now showing how to calculate greenhouse. And we had to sort of do it, rule of thumb. Greenhousing building is it's an art in its own, but it's very important for this climate. You've got enough sun in Italy, but we need to haul in the sun and conserve the sun, and this is what you need to mostly keep it away and cool, like we have to do exactly the opposite. But it's still possible in this northern German climate, and even right up to Trondheim in Norway, it's still possible to build a zero energy house where you don't have to build any heating into it at all, by just insulating and doing it tight, and you then need to have some sort of ventilation system in it. That's the whole thing in permaculture, is to connect up the elements, to see, so that they're supporting each other, and so you can get more yield. So I'm getting less dust, I'm getting more warmth, I'm getting fruit, I'm getting some vegetables, I'm getting a space where I can sit out. We were sitting out here in the thunderstorm yesterday. We were sitting out in the thunderstorm yesterday because it was warm, but we were absolutely, having our meal, and it's raining on top, and we said, don't care.